This movie will cover how to make box plots and side-by-side box plots. The information that will be used is the total tobacco exposure time for Disney films and for a bunch of other films that were not made by Disney. The data is in two lists called Disney and Other. And just to make data entry easier into the box plots, I'm going to transfer these over to list 4 and list 5. So stat edit, go over to list 4, and I want to enter the Disney list, which is the 7th list on my calculator, and then list 5 will be the other movies. So second list and 8, press enter. So there, the information is stored in lists. To make box plots, the first thing you want to do is make sure that no equations are on. I have a y equals here, and I don't want to erase it, so if I go on top of the equals sign and press enter, when the equal sign is no longer highlighted, that equation won't be graphed. To get box plots, you go above y equals, which is second stat plot, and you can see right now that the 3 available plots are all off. I'm going to choose plot 1. Press enter to turn it on. I need to choose the box plot symbol, so after I move down, I need to move over to the first box plot. That one shows outliers. The second one does not show outliers. This is called the first one is called a modified box plot, so that's what we want. We want to see if there's outliers. Press enter. My X list, the Disney information, is in list 4. My frequency I want to be 1. It should be default at 1, but you can see it turned into a Y, and that's because I'm in alpha mode. So I'm going to turn off alpha mode and press 1. Enter, and I get to choose one of 3 symbols for outliers. When you're graphing statistical information, the calculator can do windows automatically. If you press zoom and then look at option 9, I get zoom stat. And there's my box plot. If I press trace, I can see that the minimum, use the right arrow, Q1, use the right arrow again, median, Q3, and not the maximum. This is the largest number that's not an outlier, because the maximum of 548 is an outlier according to the calculator. The scale on the X and Y axis really isn't very helpful right now, so I'm going to try and change that a little bit. If I press window, I see that the minimum is -52 and the maximum is 602. I'm going to change those into more user-friendly numbers, and -50 and go up to 650. And then I'm going to set my scale to be I don't know, every 50 sounds good. And then for my Y, there aren't really any negative numbers needed, so I'm just going to change that to be -5. And I'm going to leave a little bit of room on my window so that I can see the scale. And now when I press graph again, I have a better X scale, tick marks at every 50, and a little bit better Y scale. I don't really need these tick marks because the Y scale means nothing. To add a second box plot, you go to second stat plot, and this time I want plot 2 on, so I'm going to go down to plot 2, turn it on, go down to the next row and over again to modified box plots. This time I want list 5, and then frequency again is 1. So when I press graph, I can see that the second box plot has been added and I can compare them. Again, if I press trace, I will get the 5-number summary, but since I'm on plot 1 right now, to get the 5-number summary for the other movies, you press the down arrow to get down to plot 2, and then the right arrow button to get the 5-number summary. And you can see that the other movies had no outliers. The last thing is if you have information that was in a summary table or a tally chart. I have already entered in this information in L1 and L2. This is the percentage of college students enrolled in public schools by state. So for example, between 40 and 50% occurred in one state. So there was just one state that had between 40 and 50% of its students enrolled in public universities. There were 5 states that had between 50 and 60, etc., etc. To make a box plot for this information, where I have intervals and tallies or frequencies, I go to stat plot. I'm going to turn the other ones off, so I do choice 4 to turn them off, and then I'm going to, in plot 3, turn it on, choose box plot, My information is in L1, but this time frequency is stored in L2. So again, I'm in alpha mode, and I need to turn that off, and I need second 2, which gives me L2, and I need a new window, zoom 9, and I get that information. Again, the x-axis needs to be rescaled, so if I press window, it looks like I'm going from 40 to 50 in intervals of 50. Let's make that from 40 to 100 in intervals of maybe 20. And graph. And that's much better. 20, 40, 60. And if I press trace, I can get the 5-number summary and the 2 outliers on the low side. So if a state had only 45% of its students attending public universities, that was extremely low, unusually low. Okay, that's it. Everything you need to know about Boxplots.